Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and as many of you might know, jobs are getting wiped out in mass, businesses are being closed in mass, millions of lives are being financially ruined, and we're here to give you the latest on all of this insanity that we're told we're selfish for calling out. Anyway, before we get into the news, make sure to hit the like button and find us on BitChute and Flote.app. We don't have much time left here on YouTube. As many of you may know, we were just demonetized for not going with the community guidelines here on YouTube by towing the line of the World Health Organization. We refuse to do so. We speak the truth, and we will always speak the truth, so help us. So we're not shutting up anytime soon. This demonetization has only made us louder. Anyways, let's get into the news here today. As it says out of the Economic Policy Journal, Chicago Fed, the real unemployment rate is now 30.7%. And of course, it might even be much larger than that if you counter in the labor force participation rate. As this article out of Zero Hedge says, 25% of U.S. restaurants will never reopen, according to Open Table. As the article goes into, a quarter of U.S. restaurants will go out of business due to the COVID-19 pandemic, according to a forecast by Open Table, which reported that total restaurant reservations and walk-in customers have fallen 95% over the previous year, ending May 13th. And by the way, a lot of these places people put money down on, they got debt on, and all to begin with, I mean, restaurants don't do that well statistically anyway. So add this on top of everything, on top of the taxes, the regulations, and the usual insanity that destroys small businesses. Carrying on, as it says, the company tracks over 54,000 restaurants on its reservation site, which offers the ability to make online, walk-in, and phone reservations, but does not track data for takeout and deliveries, according to Bloomberg. And you can see the chart there, sit-down diners, top 10 cities with the largest change. And it goes from Scottsdale, Houston, Phoenix, San Antonio, Dallas, Austin, Orlando, Atlanta, Nashville, and my former home of Las Vegas. As it continues here, it says, the company's data shows that there are growing signs that patrons are willing to dine out again in states like Arizona and Texas, where it's allowed. It should never be dictated whether people are allowed to leave their house. It's ridiculous. As it continues here, it says, though the numbers are still far below where they were last year. Well, of course, scared the hell out of everyone. Scottsdale showed the greatest improvement. It had 0 reservations almost every day since March 21st, but on May 13th, this eased to a down 72% from reservations on the same day in 2019. The next most significant recoveries were in Houston and Phoenix. At the state level, Florida showed the greatest statewide gain, with foot traffic only down 83% year over year after launching a phased reopening May 4th, during which restaurants were allowed to operate at 1/4 capacity. Indiana, which is now in phase 2, allowing restaurants to operate at 50% capacity, has come in second. The state is planning on full reopening by the 4th of July. By the way, this is just absolute communism. Even when they give leeway, that's absolute communism and fascism. It goes full circle, guys. As it continues here, it says, and I quote, restaurants are complicated beasts, said Steve Hafner, CEO of Open Table parent company Bookings Holdings. And I quote, you have to order food and supplies. You have to make sure you prepped the kitchen and service areas to be easily disinfected. According to Hafner, state unemployment benefits with the federal booster is one reason why restaurants have struggled to hire help. A lot of people are making $1,200 a week doing nothing. That's a good pay. Meanwhile, restaurateur Danny Meyer, who shut down all of his 19 New York restaurants on March 13th, says his dining rooms will stay closed for the foreseeable future, according to Bloomberg. And I quote, we won't be welcoming guests into our full-service restaurant for a very long time. Probably not until there's a vaccine, he said, adding, there's no interest or excitement on my part to having a half-full dining room while everyone is getting their temperature taken and wearing masks for not much money. It's very frustrating, but it's the only safe way to go, he added. Oh, what a loser. And it continues here. It's a caution shared by fellow restaurateur David Hum, who said they may not be reopening 11 Madison Park at all, and by David Chang, who just announced the closing of his Chelsea restaurant in Nishi and his Washington, D.C. Momofuku location. Meyer, in the meantime, is taking the first step back into business by opening his cafe Daily Provisions for takeout service as early as next week, The storefront, which is next to Union Square Cafe on East 19th Street, was designed for grab-and-go coffee, breakfast sandwiches, and signature crullers. Initially, it will open for curbside pickup of breakfast items with an expanded menu expected to follow, according to Bloomberg. This guy mentions it's already incredibly hard to survive. And guys, like, just consider for a moment. Look, it's up to businesses if they want to stay close through all this and take certain responsibilities onto themselves. Responsibility is an individualistic thing, not a collective thing. Collective responsibility is a communist myth. But with that said, this attack on small businesses, let's look at, for example, Britain. So in Britain, you have all these companies that are getting small business loans. And then the government is saying, because they won't be able to pay most of this back, these businesses, the government in Britain is going to take equity, using the debt equity in their companies. That's fascism, guys. That's fascism by definition. Fascism is government control over corporations or ownership over corporations, and communism is government is the corporation. They're very, very close together at the end of the day, despite always being considered opposites on opposite ends. They're both totalitarian, and they both come down to vast centralization. Now, it's restaurants. Restaurants don't do very well to begin with. And all these, it's not just the restaurateurs. It's not just the food production. It's not just all that. It's the employees who can't get their tips. Living on $1,200 a month. Oh, great. And they can't pay their rent, and they can't pay their bills. And there's massive debts piling up there. And because of that, landlords are deferring on their mortgages. And because of that, they're going completely broke. And these businesses are running out of cash real fast. Extremely fast. So this is absolute fraud, what's being bestowed on it. And I'm going to go into this deeper in a moment, but I just want to bounce through a few other examples of what we're seeing right now, which is, as I mentioned this article in a past video, 52% of small businesses expect to be out of business within 6 months. Shocking new survey. And we could see this one, GDP could decline by 42% in the second quarter, according to the Atlanta Fed, which is absolutely insane. Goldman Sachs expects a 39% slide. And carrying on, U.S. industrial production plunged by most in 100 years, my friends. And mortgage rates just hit another record low. And despite all of this, the United Nations, who for some reason have some sort of power, says they're saying that they're suggesting lockdowns should continue. And in California, they're saying in LA County another 3 months. In New York, they're saying until September in New York City. This is unbelievable tyranny on a scale we cannot comprehend yet, because we haven't seen the full effects of it yet. But suicide rates are skyrocketing. People don't have money. If they don't have money, they can't eat. And if they can't eat, they're eating unhealthy food or they're eating nothing. They're starving. That leads to a health crisis. And then, but no, we have to social distance. Talking about health, this is going to kill millions and millions and millions of people at the rate it's going at. Way more than the virus. Bill Gates said himself over a month and a half ago now that the shutdowns are likely to kill far more people than the virus itself. But he wants the shutdowns to continue. This is an evil piece of trash who funds the World Health Organization, who's headed by Tedros, who works for the communist Chinese and was one of the top people at the Ethiopian Communist Party. And on top of that, the numbers are faked. They said originally 3.7% to 7% death toll. Now it's 0.08% to 0.2%. Social distancing doesn't work. Places with social distancing have a lower rate of deaths per million from this. Guys, hello, this is not a settled science. And on top of that, you have Fauci, who runs his institution for allergies and infectious diseases, who was part of the huge government grant from the U.S. government in 2015 and again in 2018, and leading through studies to recently in 2019. He was part of the studies at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in Wuhan, China, where they were doing studies into coronavirus in bats that's 96% similar to the novel coronavirus. And in that study, they were trying to splice it and cause it to spread to humans. Now they're going to say, oh, all these selfish people, fine, they get their way. We're going to open up a little bit. Some people will get a little bit of money back, a little bit of their jobs, breadcrumbs for the slaves. And then what's going to happen? Then they're going to say, oh, actually, there's a second wave now. Now it's affecting children. It's causing their tongues to get bumpy or something. this new bioweapon that we're spreading. And so now all the more reason to be shut down and stay in your home for a year or 2 years. And if you want to go outside, you have to be traced everywhere with the contact tracer apps and ID 2020, which shows that you've been vaccinated. And now they're saying that they want to mobilize a military to vaccinate almost all people in the United States. 300 vaccines at the ready, according to Trump's new vaccine czar. And in Canada, they're working with the Chinese army to develop a vaccine to force vaccinate people in Canada. Guys, this is tyranny, and this poverty is going to kill an insane amount of people. This isn't fear-mongering. This is a fact. You can either accept the fact or continue to be slaves and sit in your kennel muzzled when you go to the grocery store following lines on the floor like children for something that is not scientific at all. Or get arrested for walking down the beach, or watch children cry as their parents get arrested in front of them for bringing them to the damn park. Now you can see why we've been demonetized here on YouTube, because we're not allowed to talk about this stuff on YouTube anymore because it goes against the community guidelines. And the community guidelines say that you have to toe the line of the World Health Organization here on YouTube. So we just gave up all of our revenue completely. We can't even take super chats. They stole super chats that had been given to us in the past. So we are dependent on you guys out there. We are viewer funded. So Patreon, Subscribestar, GoFundMe helps a lot. If you could check the links below, join our new newsletter at www.iamband.com and join us on BitChute and Flote. And we're on Library, and we're on Minds. We need you guys there. The sooner, the better. We cannot wait much longer because we're about to be completely wiped off of YouTube for good here. And so be it. We need to leave. We need to leave this platform. And anyway, I really appreciate anything you guys can do because this is the end game. It's time to get loud. It's time to get louder than ever before. Because if we don't, and we sit on our hands, and we wait till another day, we will see every last freedom we thought we had wiped out. And there will be no phoenix rising from the ashes if we say nothing. There will be no future for our children if we say nothing and do nothing. Stand up, resist, and be a free human being, an individual. That's what it comes down to. Freedom and responsibility play hand in hand. And that responsibility is individualistic, not collective. Collective responsibility is not freedom. Collective responsibility is a gun pointed at a group's head saying, we know what's best for you for the greater good of the greater number. Do as we say or else. We need individual responsibility. You cannot have freedom without responsibility. You cannot have responsibility without freedom. It's a basic function of humanity. Anyway, I appreciate everyone watching us on this yet another demonetized video. Hit that like button. Share on social media because we're not able to reach people anymore. We're shadow banned, obviously, to death. And join us on BitChute and Flote.app. We need you guys there. At Wham and at Josh Sigurdson on Flote.app, as well as World Alternative Media on BitChute. And that newsletter makes a big difference, getting your emails and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, appreciate everyone joining us. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here, don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribestar. We really can't do it without you. We've been so insanely shadow banned, about 90% at this point, and 95% demonetized. As Susan Wojcicki, the CEO of YouTube, comes in and says that she is shutting down quote-unquote controversial content and cutting out the views on this controversial content by 70%. She's been bragging about it. We need your help more than ever in this battle for truth in information. You guys are what keeps us alive, so we really appreciate just even $1 a month makes a huge difference. If everyone could give just $1 a month, we wouldn't even have to worry about competing against a mainstream propaganda networks. You can also donate to our Bitcoin address on the screen for you to scan if you please, as well as in the comments and description. Liking and sharing makes a big difference as well, and finding us on alternative social media platforms like Flote.app, that's FLOTE.app, makes a huge difference. We're at Josh Sigurdson as well as at Wham. Flote is replacing Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon all in one with encrypted private messaging, and of course monetization on videos for creators, live streams with super chats in crypto, and most of all, no algorithm, because at the end of the day, it's all about reaching reach, guys. This is all about actually reaching people with the message and waking up the public. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, Minds, BitChute, all sorts of different platforms. Try to follow us on as many things as possible, because very soon this channel will very likely just be completely deleted from YouTube, and you'll never see us again, and you'll be stuck with only the mainstream networks. Also, come on out and see us at Anarcho Vegas 2020 in Las Vegas, Nevada in July, where such speakers such as G. Edward Griffin and many others will be speaking. You could use promo code WHAM on your VIP tickets and save 10%, as well as buy extremely cheap tickets for just $20.20. You won't find a cheaper conference than this with such amazing names. Check anarchovegas.com for more information on that. We hope to see you out there. And anyway, I really appreciate all of you guys joining us. You make it possible for us to survive in this volatile, propagandized climate. Until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.
Thank you.